I've come to find out, by the way, that there are, at least now I've run into three different extraterrestrials that are shapeshifters. One is Pleiadians. Now, you know Pleiadians. You've heard it. I thought it was ridiculous. I didn't listen to it for years. That Pleiadians were these tall Nordic human beings. Like they looked like tall, Nordic humans. And of course, that sounds racist. That sounds ridiculous. And when I first interacted with Pleiadians, that's what I saw. In my mind, I saw these tall, blonde, Nordic Pleiadians. And I went, oh, what? And so I just assumed that that's the bodies that they had, that they lived on a planet somewhere and they were walking around looking like, a planet of blonde-haired Vikings. That's what I thought. And I just accepted it. And I came to find out, they came to me later and they said, we want to show you who we really are. Because we don't look the way you think we look. And I went, what? And sure enough, what they showed me was that they weren't tall, blonde humans. They were actually dark clouds of energy, which was very disturbing. Because these beings I had communicated with were so happy and so nice and so loving and so kind and so funny and so intelligent. And they turned out to be these amorphous dark clouds. And they said, we're shapeshifters. And then they went on to tell me that there was a time when they were coming to Earth and working with humans in Northern Europe. And those people, even before, the Indo-European language came in, the native people that lived there, after, by the way, in case you didn't know, Neanderthals were blonde-haired and blue-eyed, and they had red hair. Very light skin, blonde hair, blue eye. It means they didn't have any melanin anywhere because they lived in ice ages for tens, if not hundreds of thousands of years. So it turns out when modern humans interbred with them, that's why Europeans have white skins, because it works. And we interbred with Neanderthals in Europe. That's why you only find them in Europe. So it turns out that they were interacting with these people. And so to interact with them, they made themselves look like them. They liked those people. And so that's how they manifested themselves. But as it turns out, not only are they not blonde-haired, blue-eyed white people, they're not even human. They're dark clouds. So that was one group. Another group is the Lemurians. I talked about this in my most recent video. Lemurians are shapeshifters. They're earth beings. They're not extraterrestrials, but they're higher dimensional beings, and they are not physical. And they can manifest in all kinds of different ways. They can manifest as mermaids. They can manifest as humans. They can manifest as ant people. They've done that to the Hopis. I've seen them as ant people before. So they can manifest all kinds of different ways, but it's that's how they want to represent themselves in ways that we can comprehend. So I think part of it is, maybe those people, those early humans that, or those ancient humans that were interacting with these amorphous black clouds, in order to make sense of it, their brains turned them into people that look just like Uncle Bob and Aunt Harry. It could be just that simple, that their minds created that, and the Pleiadians went, okay, if that works, I can do that. And they just decided to take that form. Somebody else said they did that because it helped connect to their energy, the human's energy. They morphed into that, and so it helped bond them energetically to them. I accept that as well. That sounds good. So the other species that I'm still trying to figure out is the mantis beings. Now the mantis beings have shown me that they live, that they're not. I don't know. It starts getting into this weird place where we're in the third dimension and the fifth dimension, that there's the microcosm and the macrocosm. You know, one of the first things that happened to me in meditation a long time ago was, as I was meditating, I felt my energy come out of my body, and I could see like a large, me meditating. And the thought came to me was, that when you look out into the sky at night, you're actually looking deep within yourself. So even if we say that a being comes from another planet, another star system, that actually corresponds to something within our own body. The heart is the sun, right? We have, each of the chakras has its own planet, all that. So what I saw with them, they showed me that they lived in this giant red planet. It looked like a big giant red planet, and that's where they lived. And then they pulled me out further, and I realized what I was looking at was my own heart chakra. So they lived inside my own heart, and yet they live out there. Then you start wondering what the hell's going on. And the idea was that they weren't physical either. But that doesn't mean, I know I've seen a mantis being spaceship, this big red orb. Physically, I saw it. So they can manifest in that way. So once we start talking about higher dimensions, we start going into a whole other weird, inexplicable thing. So